Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live. Talk radio without the static. Email your questions and comments to lynncullenshow@gmail.com. And now your host, Lynn Cullen.
Yeah, I'll tell you, the Democrats are killing me because I'm being kept up way past my bedtime. That's 2 nights in a row. I might take tonight off. I can't. Jeez, here's the thing. I can't turn it off. I mean, they're putting on a hell of a show. So I hang in there. They have got to learn, though, to control the crowd so that their headliners aren't coming on when a lot of people give up and go to bed because they have to get up early in the morning to go to work. I thought they learned that the first night, but I thought last night too. Yeah. Anyway, I'm grumpy because then I get so worked up, I can't go to sleep even when they're done with me. So I'm slightly brain dead today, but all in a good cause. And I again want to say that I think this is the most fun convention I can ever remember. I mean it. And who would have thought it if you can, recollect what we were feeling like just 3 weeks ago, I think. I mean just the fear. Remember how worried we were about all of it. My God, about Chicago, about a repeat, about, oh my God, I don't know, disunity. Man, never seen a more unified party. Actually, Bill Kristol, again, one of these conservative Republicans who's become somebody who I listen to. Who would think it? Because, well, Trump sent them to a better place, I would argue, into our arms and on our side. And there's so many of them. Stephanie Grisham last night. And these are people who, as she said, spent holidays with the Trumps at Mar-a-Lago, saw him up close and personal. And so when she talks about him, man, she knows of what she speaks. And it's pretty brutal, as you know. I can't quite comprehend how somebody gets to see his cruelty and duplicity so closely and stays with him for so long. I mean, it was, as you know, only after January 6th that she left. And that just seems unthinkable to me. But whatever. You've got all these people with us now. The mayor of Mesa, Arizona, and I thought what he said to Republicans was very powerful. He acknowledged he never would have, obviously, as many of them would not have felt they would ever be standing at a Democratic convention. But he said, I feel more at home here than in today's Republican Party. And he went on to say how the party he had felt comfortable in had been destroyed, kidnapped, he said, by extremists, and that it's now a cult. This is nothing we don't know. But then he said something I thought which was so powerful. He said, John McCain's, this is a guy from Arizona, John McCain's Republican Party is gone, and we don't owe a damn thing to what's been left behind. So I thought that was powerful words to people who, even though they can't stand Trump, they just have such a commitment for life, for their lives, for being part of the Republican Party. And he's telling them it's gone. They might have that name, but it is not a Republican Party. It is a cult of personality. God, there's so many things that I want to talk about. I'm a little blah, 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 and as I said, I'm sleep deprived. Wow. The the three headliners last night. It was worth staying awake for. And I simply want to say to those of you who understandably said, I can't, I got to go to bed, I do recommend that you seek out, and it's not difficult with the technology we now have, all three headliner speeches in their entirety. I know a lot of people will say, well, I'm not watching live. I'll watch the excerpts, the highlights the next day. But there was something so it was to be schooled in what a good speech is, to listen to the entirety of both Obama's speeches and also of Kamala's husband, Doug Emhoff's speech. I mean, three wonderful speeches and lifting little lines. And, as you listen to them, you can tell, oh, that's what people who aren't watching the whole speech are going to think that's the speech. And it's not. They were all three so worthy of your time and attention from beginning to end. And I cannot recommend them highly enough. I mean, I was taking notes and then I gave up because there was a seamlessness to what all three of those gifted orators were saying. And who knew Doug Emhoff, Kamala's husband, our first husband to be, was so calm and cool, and funny and human and humanizing of her and self-deprecating. Did I say that already? I mean, just delightful. Told the cutest story of their first date, of his first phone call to her, and how the voicemail he left her, which apparently was, in retrospect, funny as hell, but also sort of humiliating, not cool. And how she kept it, and she forces him to listen to it every anniversary. So just delightful, delightful. Michelle, what, what, I don't even know don't know what to say. Wow. And I was never a big fan of her when they go low, we go high. And I'm proud to say that last night she went low a little bit too, and it was wonderful. Wonderful. You know, she talked about the power of mothers, uh, the the fact that she has recently lost her mother, an extraordinary woman. Barack talked about her as well. Um, and she likened Kamala's mother to her mother and the lessons they taught. And, you know, as you listen to the three of them speaking, Emhoff and Michelle and Barack, speaking of their families, of their parents and their grandparents, and the lessons that they learned from their elders, you could totally relate to it. It made you feel warm. It made you feel good. It reminded us of all the good stuff that we have and we hold. And it's in such marked contrast to what the Republicans can offer. Can Donald Trump ever stand up and talk about the joy of being part of his family, of the love that exists there, of what he learned from his parents? No, no, impossible, impossible. We see what he learned: to be cruel, to never admit if you lose, to think only of oneself, to be a hater, a grudge carrier, a racist. Michelle, Barack, Doug Emhoff reminded us more, I hope, I'm speaking for all of us, of the families we came from. Milton is reminding me of a line in Michelle's speech where she talked about, you know, again, the difference of people who have to strive, who have to really work and earn the position they achieve in life because they didn't get a head start like Donald Trump. And the words she used were that she and most people did not have the benefit of the affirmative action of generational wealth. That's all Donald Trump got from his family: money, which he largely squandered, by the way. So I, you know, all I can say, rather than my trying to, cherry pick words and phrases, I entreat you, implore you, if you have not, if you didn't hear all three of those speeches, to treat yourself to them, because they were, as I said, not only lessons in how to do a speech, how to make a point or two or three, how to charm the hell out of your audience. You gotta watch the whole thing. You know, wow. And I also so appreciated the Obamas sort of adult parenting kind of thing they did, uh, sharing the enthusiasm and the energy that is being felt by Democrats now, but warning and reiterating that there's a tough road ahead and that it's not enough to just cheer and or boo when Trump says something. We have to work, work like we've never worked before. Oh, okay. I okay. This is. I'm sorry. Again, I'm going to blame the wondrous speeches on the reason I'm not as organized. Actually, organized is not something I am generally either. I had walked my dog at the very beginning, thinking that there wouldn't be much to see, and then when I got back from the walk, it was the roll call. And I thought, oh no, the roll call. I can't believe they're televising this. This is where you cut away and you let talking head, you let the pontificators and yappers yap. And they weren't. They were just staying with it. And I did note a different kind of energy to this roll call. And it took me a while, but I thought, oh my God, they've they've upped the game here. They have taken what is normally this extraordinarily long, boring uh, event and made it, as I later heard the MC, what call it, a celebratory roll call, since it actually had occurred virtually. Wonderful. Who was the guy that's smiling? God, the smiles everywhere. Who was the guy who was overseeing the roll call? I looked, I Googled, and I couldn't find anything. I feel like I'm supposed to know who he was. And he said more than once he was from Wisconsin, and that made me even think, geez, if he's a fellow cheesehead, and I can't believe the Wisconsin delegates actually wore their cheese heads. And I do want to say this also about the Wisconsin delegation. The governor, uh, Tony Evers, I think he was drunk. I hate to say it because he's such a stolid, sort of milk toasty character. And I first thought, what? When he actually said, I'm jazzed as hell. I thought, what? Tony Evers saying he's jazzed as hell? And then he seemed to actually forget what he was doing there. And I thought, oh my God, I think he's drunk. I don't know if anybody else had that reaction. Anyway, my God. So the delegations were obviously told, we ain't going to do this the old way. We're going to have this DJ. We're going to do music. And it was, I thought, delightful, corny, joyous, Uh, it showed the extraordinary diversity of this country and of the party and the joy. Um, man, I loved it. That's the first roll call I ever loved. And you know what else blew me away? Is when they'd say, something like they'd call on Wyoming or Montana. And my first reaction is always astonishment at seeing Democrats. What? Those are Democrats from Wyoming? Because you always have this sense that there are no Democrats in those states. And there they are, and they're representing. And man, we need more in those states. I thought, Georgia with who was that? Georgia. Who's the rapper? This is where, again, I really appreciate getting to see and listen to music that I'm not normally hearing. And I guess the music, the DJ, this guy, DJ Cassidy, I later found out, who did a hell of a job, had a playlist in which every state had music that was in some way associated with it. So when he announced Pennsylvania, the two songs were Black and Yellow, that's Wiz Khalifa's, and Boys to Men, Motown Philly. I had to look that up because God knows I didn't recognize that one. Little John, thank you, Milton. Little John, he was wonderful. Man, what energy. And again, I have to tell you, his beautiful smile, the smiles, the happiness. But as I said, the sobering note from both Michelle and Barack at you take those smiles back home with you and turn it into determination, the likes of which you have never had before. That's what we gotta to do. Um, I don't know. Even geez, seeing Schumer danced. I think maybe I'd like to unsee that. Schumer danced out to the podium. Man, they were some happy Democrats when no one would have thought that would be that would be the case. So pretty cool. I love the fact that some chants or whatever have come out of this, and they're good ones, especially when we fight. And I think this came directly from Kamala. When we fight, we win. And it's true. We have the numbers. We've got the best possible ticket. And when we fight, we win. It's a great slogan. And we need to, say it often and remind ourselves of it often. Margaret's saying, I feel like I can breathe. Yeah, I I know. Um, a few things that I did sort of pull away that in no particular order, that I'll share with you. Oh, Milton, you're kidding me. Ironically, Milton tells us, Lil Jon, the rapper who started the Georgia delegation's contribution, was a contestant on The Apprentice. Oh my God. So he got to see Donald up close and personal. Wow. Um, oh, this I wanted to point out. I saw that the voters of Montana, a red state, also are going to have the opportunity to vote on whether or not to ensure the right for a woman to choose an abortion in their state constitution. So Montana now will join, I believe it's 8 other states. This brings it up to 9 states, lucky states, where the people, not the Supreme Court, not the Republican legislatures, but the people will decide. And as we have seen, when this question is put to voters, even in red states, the response has been yes. And if it, in fact, is a driver of people coming out to the polls, I suppose it could be a driver for either side, that I would think would benefit the Democrats more. You know, just another aside, I don't know if you saw that Robert F. Kennedy, that his vice presidential choice, this woman whose name I'm forgetting, whose claim to fame is what? She was Elon Musk's lover and then some other gazillionaire's lover. And that's why Kennedy wanted her, because she got a whole bunch of their money. And I don't mean, maybe she herself, earned some herself. I don't know. But she has said publicly now that she thinks they might need to drop out of the race because she fears, I think her name's Shanahan, she fears that their being on the ballot hurts Trump more than it hurts the Democrats. So she's saying out loud what they denied, what he certainly denied, is that his third party campaign is an effort to be intended to spoil the Democrats' chances. And she now is seeing, I guess, that the voters they're pulling in are voters that would more of them would go to Trump. So she thinks they need to pull out. So that's all I can tell you, is if your vice presidential choice is making statements like that, you're pretty much a sunken ship anyway. I hope to hell they do pull out. I don't think it will help Trump any more than it will hurt us. They are mostly inconsequential. But I mean, just what insanity. My God. We got a caller here. Let me get you in. Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
I think that we could stay up late watching these things because we're the party of unemployed people on welfare, right?
Oh yeah.
We don't have to get up and work the next day,
Oh, that reminds
But
me of
no,
that reminds me of another great Michelle line where she was referring to Trump saying black jobs and clearly thinking of low, janitors or whatever, black jobs. And she said something to the effect, right, of it's going to surprise him to find out that the job he's trying to get is actually a black job. I love
Yep.
it. I love it.
Yeah. So, what I can't, I don't stay up that late. I gotta be at work at 7 o'clock, but I do listen to some highlights, and then I'm like, okay, I watched both Michelle and Brock's. I watched them in entirety, and employer, too bad. I'm sorry, because it was great. And one of the things that I got really amused by was when President Obama was talking to younger people. Obviously, when your parents or grandparents say something cringeworthy,
Yes.
please. I played it back, recorded it on my phone, and texted it to my daughter.
Yes. Well, what he was saying, I mean, for those who didn't hear, is he was saying, look, we have all gotten so quick to cut people off who say the wrong thing or who don't agree with us on an issue that we care about. And he was saying, look, who doesn't have someone in their family that they love who says something that we cringe at? We don't, we don't start hating them. We still love them. I think that part of what he said, was very, very, very important. Because it's something that we all do more than we ever did before. And it's not good. It's not helpful. He also pointed out, did he not, in that especially for older people, the world is changing so rapidly, and it's something I've talked about often, that you cannot expect people to turn on a dime when it's decided, for instance, that gender is not binary. Now, we know that now, but for a lot of people, that is something that's going to take a long time percolating to get comfortable with. And he's saying you've got to give people time. He needed time to get comfortable with gay marriage, if you'll recall. It was Biden who got there before him and sort of pushed Obama in that direction. So I think Obama was really preaching at that point to remind ourselves that we don't have to be so damn pure, Puritans, that this is right and this is wrong, and if you disagree, you're not with me anymore. I'm not with you anymore. It's insane, and it can't exist if we're going to have a democracy, because democracies are messy and are full of people who don't agree on everything.
Yeah, and to that point, I think this is where conservatives talk about liberals as elitists. I mean, it's a misuse of the term, but it does apply. And I talk, that cringeworthy comment and talking about how fast the world's changing, it really applies to me in my relationship with my daughter and my daughter-in-law, because they're, especially my daughter-in-law, they're really quick to like jump on you. And, and I'm like, you know what? You got to rein that in, because this is what turns people to vote for Trump.
Yeah, it turns them off.
Yeah, it's just like when which John Kerry's wife? When she was at the the Democratic
Teresa Hines,
when she was, it's like, I appreciated the fact that she could talk to everybody in all those different languages, but it plays out to the elitist thing again. And Joe Sixpack is like, who's this broad man talking? I'm through that. But that being said, I think, is it safe to say no Republicans were watching last night, except except they're pundits just to figure out pot shots to take on. Would you agree with that?
Well, I would agree
I
with
mean, I
that, but
didn't
I
watch
do
it
think
run.
that maybe some undecided people are watching.
And that's what I'm hoping, because if you're undecided and you decide, okay, it's coming up, I guess I'll watch the RNC thing, then I'll watch the. It's like, how can you like look at them side by side and say, oh, I really agree with the Republicans' attitude. I'm going to do that. I mean, come on, it's so much more wholesome, and it's appealing and positive and happy. I mean, I didn't mind Schumer dancing across the stage. That's all good stuff, you know?
Yeah. I'm with you.
Quick question. I have a quick question for you. When the woman called yesterday and talked about the thing you're attending, and she misunderstood, and you went on a rant. And I'm not saying you didn't. I wanted to call, and then I got pulled away for work after that, because when you start talking, my anxiety levels skyrocket. I could just feel you just like, woo, talking about the woman who's going to come talk and who's like going to propose all these anti-Semitic things for the city of Pittsburgh, blah, blah, blah. I wanted to ask your sister, I got the impression she was feeling the same way I was. Like, you know what I'm talking about? It's like, I could feel anxiety just coming off you. She really hit a nerve, or talked about something that just sent you up.
That is true.
Correct?
Yeah. And my sister, if you'll recall, after she hung up, my sister said, God, my sister was feeling incredibly anxious listening to it as well. And again, I was thinking about that afterwards. And I think the Jonathan who emailed, who said that he thought she was being sarcastic. I think she was being sarcastic and or provocative by saying, I think it's so wonderful that you're showing that Jews and anti-Semites can get together or whatever. She was really saying to me, how dare you share a stage with that woman? And I told her I frankly would not have if I'd known she was, because it's uncomfortable for me. But I am going because I agreed to go, and then likening it back to what we were talking about before, that Bethany Hallam and I agree on a lot of things. You know, I'm behind her in her prison reform work and other stuff. And so we've got to learn to be able to, coexist with others with whom we can at times work together with, right?
Your emailer later on, John, I think you said his name was.
Yeah.
I honestly, I don't think fast enough in those moments, because he hit it on the head. That woman 1 minute was saying, well, who's this guy? And then she was talking about,
she knew who he was.
He likes to drink. And it's like, she was definitely screwing with us or with you. And and that's very disingenuous. And it's like, but I did feel, ooh, you got me revved up in the wrong way, Lynn.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. You're allowed. We're all allowed. It's just funny. Okay. All right.
Okay.
Thank you for all your insights today, and we'll
thank
have
you.
a good day.
Thank you for the call. Okay.
Bye.
Bye. And speaking of Jonathan, he has written again and said that if you're, inclined to want to, enjoy some of what happened last night at the convention, but, fell asleep, that also before Doug Emhoff spoke, his son introduced him with a video presentation, which I do agree. I actually watched it again. I did watch that again this morning, which is lovely, just wonderful. And again, humanizing people. Yeah. So there's that. Another Obama quote from last night, which I thought was worthy of, and again, you gotta, out of context, it doesn't have the power. But he said this in part: we exist in a culture that puts a premium on things that don't last: money, fame, status, likes. We chase the approval of strangers on our phones. We build all manner of walls and fences around ourselves and then wonder why we feel so alone. And I appreciated that too. And I think that was all part of his speech, in which he then went into how we need to be more capable, take the walls down, get out of our silos, get out of our, stop the sort of rapid response we all have to take offense. It's and this is something that without a doubt Trump ratcheted up. It's not that it wasn't there to start with, but man, as they say these days, it's on steroids now. This the quickness with which we take offense and decide to stand our ground, right? Just not helpful. Um, the oldest woman in the world died. That's what happens. I was, that's a designation you don't want, because as soon as you get it, you're almost dead. She was 117. Man, I almost called my mom to tell her, Mom, just, you just, no rush here, but just, take it slow and easy, because that means you got 15 more years if you want to ever get that designation. And then I was thinking, can you imagine? I mean, if my mom were to get to 117, I'd be 99. I think I figured it out. Can you imagine having, I mean, for all I know, this woman who's now dead did. She had children that were, 99. Jeez. Wow. No, I wouldn't be 99. My brother would be 98. I'd be 97-ish. Anyway, so yeah, I wanted to share that with you. No one's told me who this bespectacled, bearded, bald guy who was calling the states for their votes is. I want to know. It's bothering me. Um, what else? Oh God, there's so much, guys. Hang on. You see, there's a guy running in. He's running to be the mayor of Wyoming's capital. What is Wyoming's capital? This is where if I were ever on Jeopardy, they come to geography and things like state capitals, I'm dead in the water. What's Wyoming? I can't even think of a city in Wyoming. Every city I think of turns out it's in Montana, like Butte, Montana. Billings? No, Montana. What's a city in Wyoming? Let alone the capital. Anyway, don't know if you saw that there's a guy, his name is Victor Miller, no relation to me because I'm a Miller, who is running to be the mayor of the capital of Wyoming, whatever the hell that is. And Cheyenne, thank you, Mary and Laura, thank you. Cheyenne, Wyoming. So he's running to be the mayor, and his whole platform is that he will have AI, artificial intelligence, run the city. And he even has worked up a chatbot or a robot or something. I don't know what the hell they are, that he calls Vic, I think. And so when he has a news conference, he takes Vic, and the questions go to Vic, who's doing, not a half bad job. Anyway, I believe he doesn't have much of a chance. That's all I want to say. But I'm sure he'll get some votes, no doubt. So all these Trump folks, these Republicans, showing up. Oh, that's what I wanted to share with you, something that I think I started with this and never got to it. That William Crystal said as he's watching the Democrats in Chicago, and let me find it here. Oh, for God's sake! Here, wait. I kind of got it. I'm sorry, this is not good. This is not good radio. They're talking about the incredible unity that is being seen. Okay, I'm sorry. He wrote a lot of stuff, and I'm just trying to get to where the part is I wanted to share with you. God dang it. Here it is. Okay. He's referring to last night. He said what we saw last night in Chicago was a healthy political party, which is a good thing and an important thing, because healthy political parties make for effective governance in modern democracies, make it possible. Healthy political parties make a decently functional political system possible. What we saw at the Republican convention last month, by contrast, was a weird cult of personality, a crowd in thrall to a demagogue. It was something dangerous. It was something to be resisted. It was not a functional political party. And this Democratic Party is ideologically broad, stretching from Bernie Sanders and AOC to career conservatives. It's got a history. The Clintons, the Obamas, and soon Joe Biden in the past. And it's got a present, the Harris-Walz ticket. And it has a promising future embodied in so many younger, impressive elected officials at the federal and state levels. A successful political party will be a big tent, and that is also a political advantage. Different groups, different voters can find different political leaders they admire in the party and want to associate with them. There can be Clinton Democrats, Obama Democrats, Bernie followers, ex-Republican McCain people who think the future is embodied by AOC. But a successful party isn't simply a tent that provides shelter and comfort to disparate groups. It also has enough of a common purpose to make its individuals feel they're part of a whole, part of a larger effort, working together in a common cause. And the immediate common cause is obviously defeating Donald Trump. So Bill Kristol says, I'm heartened that what we're seeing in Chicago is a healthy and functional political party. And perhaps, he says wistfully, one day we'll again have two. I don't know. That's an interesting thought experiment. What happens to the Republican Party? It's gone. As the mayor of Mesa said, as Bill Kristol would say, it's gone. There is no big tent. There is the opposite. There is my way or the highway, and there's that cult of personality. And that is not a winning formula. And it is not a formula that will allow the Republican Party to endure. So what happens? Do all these Republicans we're now liking, do they somehow manage to recobble it, or do they start a third party? I don't know. It'll be fascinating to see what happens, and maybe a little frightening. I don't know. I'm reminded of how awful, how vengeful Trump is. There was a piece maybe last week that, do you remember the Honorable Georgia Secretary of State, Republican, guy named Raffensperger? He's the one who took the call from Donald Trump, then the president, telling him he needed Raffensperger to get some votes, find the votes for me. And Raffensperger refused. It's hard to imagine what that has cost him in terms of his security, his sense of belonging to a party that he obviously cared about and gave a lot of his life to. But it turns out that the cost to him is also monetary, because Trump's vengefulness knows no bounds. And Raffensperger is being sued by a Trumpist, the wife of a big Trump donor, and she's the one who was helping peddle the Giuliani false video of, supposedly showing Georgia poll workers, I don't know, doing something nefarious. It was all bullshit. It's been proven to be bullshit. And so Raffensperger has been fighting a lawsuit with a Trump donor who's got millions and millions and millions of dollars to throw at it. Raffensperger doesn't have millions and millions and millions, but he has already had to spend $500,000 defending himself. Now, understand that he could, it's a defamation suit. Now, understand that he could have saved himself all of that if he had simply agreed to sign something that the Trumpers wanted him to sign, which is essentially saying that the video this woman had presented was not deceptive. Well, he won't do it because it was deceptive. And that's what he had said, which resulted in the defamation suit. So he's now, and this case will go on and on and on, and his need for money will go on and on and on. It doesn't matter. She filed the lawsuit in Texas. Why? I can't imagine. It's all in Georgia, but Texas has really good judges. And even the Texas case was thrown out, saying that it lacked jurisdiction. Duh. And so she's now moved the case to Georgia, where of course it belongs. And this poor guy, this honorable man, will continue to hemorrhage money that he doesn't have. Because to be in Trump's tent is to show that you can be every bit as vindictive as Der Fuhrer. Oh, God. What else? I'm sorry. There's so much. I can't. I don't want to do that. Well, how much time do we have? No, damn it. Why does that always happen? I want to note that there are. Oh no, I'll do this. It's something I've been wanting to get in, and now it seems like it's too late. But it's too late in general because I only have a few minutes left, and every other topic that I would bring up, I can't do in a few minutes. This one I can. And it harkens back to the Olympics. Somebody pointed out something that I was wondering about, and that is, this huge medal haul that the Americans took. The fact is, it was the women, the American women, who garnered most of the American gold medals. In fact, 65% of the gold medals that America won were female athletes. And it turns out that that's, frankly, the fourth summer games in a row that the American women have earned more medals than the American men. Now, I'm not saying that just, to diss anybody, like the guys. But it was pointed out by a columnist in USA Today that there's a reason. Okay, I'm now being told I'm reconnected. I don't know if any of that. God damn it! What's okay? Anyway, so the reason that all of a sudden American women are dominating is because this generation, actually three now generations of women, American women, have lived in a land that had a law. It's called Title IX, that said that women, this law was passed in 1972, and it mandated that sports participation would be available to all children and young adults in schools, not just the boys. And so it's been since 72 that girls got to be on teams and got to be cheered on and to have and be celebrated for their athletic prowess. I want to say that for me, this is so huge because when I was in school, and I've said this before, there was no girls' sports. None. I know some of you had, but Green Bay, Wisconsin, if you went to school there, there was no girls anything. No swimming, no track and field, no tennis, no golf, no basketball, no volleyball, nothing. All a girl could do was cheer on the boys. And that one act of government, this is why I'm a Democrat. I believe in government's ability to give people opportunity. And in this case, that opportunity was given to all the girls in this country. Excuse me. Title IX. Amazing. The impact. And I got to say, even if Title IX had been there, I don't know that I would have. I'm not by nature an athletic person. I sure had friends who were. And all of that was denied us. You know, we hear how being on a team is character building, teaches you discipline, all that. It was only available to boys. God almighty. And no one questioned it. No one questioned it. That's the world I grew up in. 1972, geez, I was fully grown. I was married. So to me, it doesn't seem that long ago. All right, I'm done. I'm more than done. I'm overdone. I'm well done. And I thank you very much for being there with me. Damn, somebody tell me not to watch the convention tonight, or at least go to bed at a reasonable hour, okay? I'm going to try, but it's been a hell of a show. And I tip my hat. The only thing they need to do is faster, okay? Jesus. Okay, that's it. I'm sorry. I'm babbling. I got to go try to sleep. I swear. I do. I'm dead.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Thursday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper or its advertisers.